All right, looks like I just went live. Hopefully you can all see me and hear me okay. Um, I am, tonight I'm going to do a painting of Malcolm X. So this is another painting that was part of a commission of a large number of figures in American history ordered by a nonprofit organization. So they wanted to make a wall of all these like historical figures that they admire that kind of went towards the mission of the nonprofit organization. And so this is one of them, and actually I'm almost done with this commission. There were, I believe, 10 total. So a really wide variety. I'm just noticing some parts of the sketch that I didn't include that I want to put in there. There we go. So this is going to be 9 out of 10, and then I'll be done with that commission. And once that's over, I think all my major commissions for this year are done. So I'm really looking forward to that because I love commissions in terms of it's nice to get some money to do art, and it's nice to have some things to work towards in terms of my art. But also sometimes I'll have an idea that's like, oh, I should do an idea. And then I think, I probably should start work on my commission instead. And the result is, ideas that kind of go undone. So after I'm done with this commission, I'm just going to close up commissions for a little bit. Maybe I'll open them back up around Christmas time. I'm getting a little bit of static here in the line. Maybe if I move my phone away. Okay, so I'm just going to get started. I started with some swatches here. So this is Venetian red here. This is permanent orange. And this is, I believe, let me find out. I'm still getting like a little noise in the line. I hope that doesn't continue all night. I believe this green is ultramarine turquoise, which is a Daniel Smith color. And I chose these because they kind of work well together, but also, Malcolm X was a black man and his complexion was a little lighter, but he was fair-skinned and had a really warm complexion. And one thing that people don't know, actually, kind of a strange, unusual fact about Malcolm X was that he had reddish hair, and he did not like his red hair. It probably came from a Scottish grandfather who non-consensually, raped his grandmother, and as a result, that red hair got into the family line. But, Malcolm X just never felt great about that, and so, rightfully, this is just one of the complex things about Malcolm X. I don't consider myself an expert in his life by any means. But the clips that I've seen, and I've seen the film about his life, and that was really interesting. I saw that a long time ago, and so definitely an interesting man. So I'm just getting started here with the Venetian red. And you know what? I'm going to pull up the comments. So if anyone starts watching and wants to leave a comment, talk to me, feel free. And so right now I'm just starting to block in some shapes. Today I did a video of a woman in profile, and I really liked how it turned out, but then that wore me out because it took me a long time to paint, and then I was like, oh man, I was going to live stream tonight. Venetian red is an interesting color. You know, I found that it can be good for the warm parts of a complexion, like an African American complexion. But it has to go down first because it's a little opaque, and so it'll kind of deaden the colors underneath it. Just gonna end that right there. So far, so good. And you know, Malcolm X famously renounced violence later in his life, and so really admirable. But if you read about his early life, you know, all that anger that he had, I think a lot of people, you know, who lived his life would also be angry. And so the fact that he had all this justifiable anger in his life and yet decided to renounce violence is doubly remarkable, in my opinion. Even when you use Venetian red, you can feel a little of the grit of the pigment because it's a blocky pigment. I don't know why I chose a very, very challenging photograph that has a few things that make painting hard for me. For instance, glasses, but you know, he's so famous for wearing those glasses that I couldn't not have the glasses. But then also, most of the photographs I found of him were black and white, and so I kind of have to use my best intuition to decide what the complexion's gonna be like. I watched some videos and some sort of colorized photographs to try to get a sense of what his complexion was like. Artists know better than anybody that, you know, it's just so crazy to think that there was like a crayon that was, you know, like skin color crayon. Because skin is all kinds of colors, and it's not just one person to the next. Even one person has all kinds of shades and tones in their skin. Let's see here. I'm going to close some windows because looks like it's going to buffer a little bit. Okay. Well, nobody's watching at the moment, so hopefully it'll be better when it comes back and when somebody starts watching. But anyway, I was saying, one person will have, like a white person, his skin tone is going to be his or her skin tone. It's going to have blue in it. It's going to have a little green in it. It's going to have pink. It's going to have orange. And it all has to do with, how the light hits it and how many of the capillaries are under the skin. So you can't just say people have skin color. There's no such thing as skin color. There's really a rainbow in there. Once you start seeing that rainbow in there and really kind of depicting that, you're not going to create convincing skin tones. Let's see, this is fairly dark right down here. I'm going to just fill that in. I'm going to leave the whites of the eye light now, but eventually I'm going to fill that in because, again, just like skin, the whites of your eyes are not white. They're all kinds of, it's like a desaturated skin color you can use, or if a person has cool tones in there, you can do that. I am afraid that my internet connection's too choppy for anyone to get a good connection. Okay. He's already looking like a person here. All right. I think I'm going to go back over this area because I want to have more of a solid base right here. So I'm just going to let's bring this down to his jaw. It's a pretty strong jaw there. It's going to curve a little bit here. More Venetian red. It's been completely one color so far. So far, so good. Okay, I'm going to switch to a bigger brush because I haven't even gotten to the forehead yet, and I want to get a big section of that right here. So he had a strong, I'm seeing a strong shape. Okay, now it's telling me my connection is excellent, so that's good. This color also tends to really fade once it dries in interesting ways. It's really a finicky color. And then I'm going to get some water and do this. Okay, let's just lips are interesting too. I was talking about this in my video earlier. We tend to want to make lips really pink. And there is some pink there, but it's important not to exaggerate that or things start to look strange. And the other thing is the top lip is always going to be a little darker because it's in shadow. I like that shape under there. So I'm going to fill this out. And then this too. I feel like I could get a lot of mileage out of this color for Malcolm here. And I'm actually gonna do this whole thing. See, when I go over this, it's gonna leave the shapes that I already painted there. See that? And I'm just gonna do this. Because again, that'll fill in the shapes. Okay. One thing about live streaming is I can't really listen to music. So I've got it stuck in my head. An old song. So he's got a lot of kind of wrinkles in his skin here. So I'm going to try my best to reproduce those, kind of imply them. Given that he had red hair, I wonder if I should go ahead and fill that in with the Venetian red here. So I'm going to go ahead and do this as a base, but I'm going to do it in a dry brush sort of way. Maybe not. I tried. Too much water. But I am going to just fill that in. That's how I should have done it. But just checking my phone there. I saw a video of, I don't know what he was wearing in this photograph. It's probably unknowable, but I did see a video of him wearing a navy suit, and so I'm just going to start with a blue base for his suit. Okay, that looks cool. I try to play real loose with these the clothing down here because I don't really want people's eyes to go down to that part. I want them to go right on the face. So I don't want the edges to be too distracting. So I'm kind of just going to kind of fill that in. And actually this too. And lastly, this last little bit here. Hey, I've got a viewer. I've got a viewer, that's cool. I having a bit of a light night, but that's okay because I got some messages from people who said they were going to watch later. So right now I'm just painting, and if people want to show up later, they can. If they want to watch this video at another time, they can. It will be available. Doing these live streams is good. Hey, we got 2 viewers now. That's cool. And if you want to leave me a message, I can read it. Or you can just watch. No pressure. This serves a few purposes for me. I can create content that people can watch, maybe benefit from. For whatever reason, if they want to learn how to paint like me for some reason. I have a little bit of an idiosyncratic way to paint. But if they want to kind of imitate it, that's cool. If they like just watching me paint, that's cool too. Okay. So right now I've got a base of this Venetian red color. And now I'm going to start adding darks. And you can see I made these swatches. So this is this this turquoise that I've got. I'm just going to do an experiment where instead of turquoise, I'm going to use perylene green, which is a darker green and can almost get black. I'm just going to put it over the red and just see what happens in this test swatch. And then I'm going to do the ultramarine here, just see what happens there. Almost the same thing. Perylene green's a little darker. What I was worried about is that it would kind of look grayish. And that's not what I was going for. But what I can do is maybe add a little quinacridone pink in the cheeks. Do the shades now. So now I'm going to mix up. It does kind of gray it out a little bit. See, that's not what I wanted. Let's try that. Hey, I got 3 viewers now. Hey, this is cool. Hi, everybody. Hi, Dr. Nick. Still trying to decide what kind of content I want to put on this video, this channel, because he's got some texture to his hair there. That's why I'm doing that. And his cheeks too. You know, I can do these live streams all the time because I'm always painting. You know, I paint quite a bit. And the problem is they're really long videos. They require a lot of patience. And I'm wondering if maybe people aren't always going to be in the mood for that. Maybe some people. But probably I should offer a variety, right? Like some longer, some shorter. So let's see, if anyone's leaving comments, for some reason I'm not seeing comments, and that's okay if nobody's commenting, but I hope that people aren't commenting and I just don't see it. What I could do is pull up my own live stream and just make sure there aren't any comments going. Let's see. My own live stream. I'm listening to my own live stream now, watching it. Okay, I don't see any comments, so I'm just going to comment from my other page and just see if it comes up. That way I can make sure it's... Hey, now there's 4 concurrent viewers because it's me. I'm cheating the system here. Okay, so now I'm really getting some of that stubble texture. See that? I'm using the side of my brush. All right, so my comment came up. So there's no problem there. And then this is much darker, so I'm gonna make sure to fill that in darker. It's a very bold photograph. All right, let's add some more of that turquoise. Get some more of that red. So just a richer color. And let's define the eyes a little bit more here. So we're going to have a triangle here. I'm just looking for shapes. There we go. Now this area under here is very dark, so I'm just gonna fill that in completely. I haven't done his glasses yet, but I will. outline the glasses there a little bit. And how about I do a little bit of the eyebrow here. Eyebrows, as my 3-year-old used to call it. There we go. All right. And above the eye, there's the lid there. And I'm going to pull that down like that. All right. Now the face is really starting to have some definition. I'm going to do under the nose here. I just want to make that a little darker there. I'll leave that for now. And let's pull this down a little bit. There's a shape here. And let's just leave that for now. I'm gonna do his lips. This top lip is always gonna be in shadow compared to the bottom lip, unless there's a light from underneath. He's got really defined lips here. And here's his, there we go. That looks cool. Now I feel like the face is emerging. I love the point where it's just like, ah, that's starting to look like a face. That's a cool moment in a painting. You gotta really appreciate those moments as they happen. Go, and I'm just going to dry brush that a little bit. All right. I hope everyone's having a good night out there. Crazy things happening in the world and going back to work tomorrow. I had an idea for this channel, you know, Sunday evenings. A lot of people are prone to anxiety because you don't want to go back to work tomorrow. So there's like this sense of dread, even though it's a day off. You can't fully appreciate the day off because it feels like it's just going to be tomorrow soon. So what if there's just something relaxing and soothing to watch and listen to, so you don't have to think about, oh, I've got to go to work tomorrow, got stuff I got to do. You can just kind of sit back and relax. Maybe this will help you sleep, I don't know. I, really like Bob Ross. There are a couple TV artists that I used to watch all the time when I was young. It was Bob Ross and Mark Kissler, who is a children's artist, still pretty active on social media now. So I'm just going to get some texture in there. And Bob Ross was always just so soothing to me. I loved hearing the sound of his brush and his voice. And you know, I think most artists would tell you that Bob Ross wasn't like, he was a fantastic presenter and educator, but his strength wasn't necessarily in artistic masterpieces. I mean, the landscapes he did were good, they looked cool, but the key in his case was low barrier of entry. He wanted to present a type of art that basically anyone could pick up a brush and try. And with some practice, do a good job with. And the techniques that he used were just kind of basic techniques that you just watch him do it, and then you could do it. So I think I'm the same way in a lot of ways. I mean, I'm not a professional artist. I can do some cool things, but ultimately, like, this is like, at best, upper mid-tier. On the other hand, I think it's a type of art that other people can try. They can try to do what I'm doing. And it also looks cool as it goes down. So that's another advantage. I like the way these lips look, and so I'm just gonna put those in right now because it's cool. Just really define those lips. Still got 3 viewers. That's so cool. I have fairly modest expectations for these live streams at first, so you know, when I'm painting by myself, that's 0 viewers. Right now I have 3 viewers. That's pretty cool. That's a lot more than I'd have if I were just by myself. Good enough for me. All right. I'm just changing it up here, filling in some of this white space. Let's get a little bit of there. Cool. Okay, I'm happy with that. You guys are so kind to watch this video. Started out without any viewers and I was thinking, oh boy, oh well. Better luck next time, but then some people started watching. It was so cool. But hey, feel free if it's time to go, you gotta go, you gotta go. That's fine. But it was nice to see you. For the time you were here. Where he's in, right? So far, I'm feeling pretty good about this painting. I like how it's shaping up. The shapes are looking good. The highlights are looking good. So I think it's time to maybe change some stuff up. So most of this is dry here. So I'm going to change it up by filling in the details with orange. Orange is going to add some life to this portrait, I think. So I'm going to get this green and dark colors out of my brush. And we're going to put in some orange. So I think you'll be surprised at how the painting starts to look once I put in some orange, because it's just going to warm the whole thing up. Now, what am I going to do orange? Most of it except for the high highlights. So let's see how this goes. looks like all of his face under the glasses. He's got a lot of highlight on the nose, so that's where that's going to be. Highlights are going to be, oh, I got a lot of orange there. Let's not overdo it. I might add a little orange here, but mostly I'm going to leave that very highlighted. Finally, let's get some orange on the hand there. Now that's gonna make the whole thing wet. And so, rather than make a mistake and disturb that, I think I should focus on maybe the background or the suit again. Let's try the suit again. This time I'm gonna get that Prussian blue, but I want to gray it out a little bit. So maybe I'll add some of that mix that we had before. Maybe I'll add some Payne's gray. That's what I'll do. Add some just the random stuff that I've got on my palette. I'm going to do another pass. This is going to fill in some of the gaps in that suit. All right. Max, do you ever play with wet on wet? So that's the thing, Max, I don't. Very rarely. That's kind of, for some reason, the styles I do are very dry. And so I'll do a layer, block in the shapes, wait for it to dry, put in more shapes on top of it. And so that's where my style maybe diverges quite a bit from other watercolor artists. I almost feel like, if you want to learn the right way to do watercolor, don't watch me, because I'm all over the place. Okay, I just mixed up a really dark color, and I'm worried about using it right away, but let's see, this is starting to dry a little bit. How about I just do his tie for now? I'm just gonna do that edge there. I like your style. Well, cool. Thank you. It feels good. I mean, when I cobble together a style, quote unquote, from just watching other people and my own intuition and what I like, sometimes I think, well, if a real watercolor artist looked at this, they're going to be like, that's not right. But who's to say? I recently did a painting of Max. I kind of sent out a call on my Instagram and just said, hey, if you want to get painted, send me a painting or a photographic reference that looks like this. Because I had a certain style that I was kind of wanting to do. And he sent me a message and said, hey, I want to paint you. You want to paint me? I've got a portrait like the kind you're looking for. And it was, and I really liked that one, how it looked. So I was happy with how that one turned out. This kind of feels like drawing what I'm doing right now, because I'm just kind of doing little tiny shapes like that. So nice that people are watching my stream. Let's see. Here's another reason I don't do wet on wet. I'm so impatient. I just want to get in there and start. And so when you do wet on wet, it's like you get these blooms and you wait for that to dry and it kind of lightens back up. And I usually get started with just really bold shapes and colors right away. Okay. So Malcolm is looking good so far. I'm mixing up a dark color, so this is Perylene Green. And I'm going to start on his hair. I was saying at the beginning of this, I'm just going to try to get some dry brush effects here. I was saying at the beginning of the stream, Malcolm X had reddish dark hair. It's kind of a ginger, and you wouldn't know that from photographs because we don't have a lot of color photographs. You work from large shapes, that's impressive. Yeah, I do work from really large shapes. I definitely do. That's sort of my thing. I just love those big shapes that you can see in things. I think there's part of it is the psychologist part of me, where I just think it's fascinating that we can see blocks and shapes and values and it coalesces into a face or a figure or a person. This part down here is really dark, so I'm going to go over that one again. All right, I want to let that dry before I try to do the second part, and then I'll just do this on the side. All right, that looks pretty good. Now I'm going to come in here. How about I get my smaller brush? I'm not torturing myself. Here we go. And then over here on the side, we've got his hand. And there's a very dark section here, so I'm gonna put that in. I forgot these headphones I'm using. I've been using them for a long time. I used to work at a music shop, and I got these for recording music. And they work pretty well for that purpose. Not great, but I've had them for a really long time. And they start to hurt after a bit. Gotta loosen it up a little bit. They're just a little tight. One of these days I'll get real recording headphones. These are, I think, ATHM 30s, 850s maybe. That's dark right there. And then I'm gonna just mark in some shapes here on his glasses. Okay, so where am I at? I'm ending my sentences with prepositions. That's where I am at. And I'm just gonna get the shade under the nose here. I suspect that just like it is now, if I did the hair darker, it would start to look semi-finished. So now I'm going to add some pink. And I'm adding pink because I'm going to get some really warm tones in the cheeks. So let's just see. I'm gonna get some water. I just want those cheeks to be warm, but not overdo it like I just did. There we go. Just add a little life to the painting. And then just some water and pull that color up a little bit. People's noses are pretty pink because there's capillaries there. I'm just going to dab that a little bit because I think that's just, there we go. Okay. So what do I want here? What I want is, I want this to be a shade. So I'm gonna start with Prussian blue because that's what the suit is, navy. But I really want it to be dark. So what I'm gonna add is some of that Venetian red. And what I get is a really deep shade of blue. And we're gonna darken this sleeve. And then it looks cool in the reference photo. There's kind of like a wave. Like that. Because the suit is crinkled a little bit. And I want to preserve that look. Just like that. All right, it worked. And then this is dark here too. But I lost my color, so I'm gonna recharge it. Like that. And then here's his lapel. There. Just make sure this is dark enough. That's kind of wet on wet, right? Just kind of charging some color into there. I haven't even thought about the background yet, but usually with backgrounds I try to make them sort of abstract and just have a little energy but not take too much attention away. My friend told me the last time I streamed the volume was too low, and so I've turned the volume up a little bit, and she says it's good now, so good. Okay. So now I'm going to get some of that red, add a lot of dark into it. And we're going to dry brush some more hair here. All right, so start here because it's dark. Can you hear the texture there? Hopefully it's not an annoying sound. So that dry brush technique can do a lot of work in terms of creating texture, especially where a person has hair, short hair, stubble on face, that sort of thing. And if you do a few passes of that, it can really create an effective look. All right, I'm seeing that those glasses are looking a bit gray. So I'm going to create something as close to black as I can and go over the glasses again, especially right up here because there. Glasses are vexing. It's just really hard to make glasses look good. Let's do a little bit here. All right, literally the best I can do with glasses. Good enough. Good enough. Not too bad. I'm going to turn the paper a bit to do this here, this part. All right. And now that I have that, if I do another pass of this hair, it'll get even darker. There we go. And if each dry brush pass has a little texture to it, then like the combined layering of the texture from the dry brushing can really look like hair. And I'm just gonna have a little bit right here. It was a very clean cut dude. All right. A few places that I can really emphasize with this dark color that I want to just get in there, like under here and under here. And a little bit in the ear too. I've only been doing this for an hour, but I suspect this will not take me that long. I feel like last week's stream took longer than I thought, and this might take shorter than I thought. But who knows? Okay, let's do a little bit of a... Okay. So now let's start thinking about a background. What if I just use this Perylene green? I use green often with backgrounds for portraits because green really has a way of adding energy but doesn't draw attention away from the face. So what if I just did this? In the reference, he's sitting in front of something, and I'm not going to try to paint what he's sitting in front of because the point of the commission was to get the faces, not necessarily a scene. So I'm just going to kind of approximate it. And then have it be done. Okay. So right now that's looking okay. Background's a little lifeless at the moment, but that's okay. How about I kind of have some energy going here so it looks more modern. Okay, that's not the end of the background. I might add actually a more vivid green just to pop that out a little bit better. Also, I'm going to pull up, this is Eckhart Tolle from last week's. And, you know, because it's a commission, I want them to be kind of similar styles. So that's another thing about doing a big commission like this is once you do one, you're kind of locked into a style until you're done with the commission. So I'm seeing I could use a little bit of a darker value. I could probably put darker here and here. Darker in the hair in the back, although like I said, he had a dark complexion or a light hair. So what else do I need? I want this to be really dark because in the reference photo, this is one of the darkest areas and I can really get a lot of definition there. So that's what I'm going to do. Get some more of that Perylene green. So if you're a watercolor painter, I would recommend you get you some of this Perylene green. And it has turned out to be one of my favorite colors that I use. Maybe my favorite. And you might think, how could that be? Because it's not vivid, it's not pretty necessarily, but the thing about Perylene Green is if it goes in dark, then you get something close to black. And that's really useful because when watercolor, you don't want to do black necessarily, but you know, a lot of times you want to get dark. But then when you add water to it, it turns like a really beautiful grayish green that can be so useful. So if you don't have a tube of Perylene Green, just give it a shot. And you know, of course you can use it for like a landscape if you're doing leaves. You can use it in the shade part of leaves. I think that's kind of the idea. Most people use it for that. But you can mix it with things if you want to get something kind of grayed out, but you don't want to kill the life of it. I'm going to use it a little bit for this, the darken the eyes here, and actually here. And down like this. Still got 3 viewers. That's so cool. I'm just so grateful. You guys have really made me feel like someone's interested in what I'm doing, and even if it's just like, oh, I want to support Arthur, that still makes me feel really good. And yeah, feel free to tell people about it if you have friends that just want something to watch while they relax. I'm hoping this can be that for them. All right, see how that's... Okay, I'm going to do something risky here, but this is near black in the reference. And the risk didn't quite pay off because I don't really want it to be that dark. So I'm just going to dab it here. Okay, that's better. Not quite the right shape, but it's okay. And let's see. When I started watercolor painting, I was looking for advice from people like how to do it. And what I wanted was a process that was repeatable, that I could use on any portrait, and that I could modify if I needed to, but I think I basically kind of came up with this process because I wanted something that kind of simplified the process and I can trust the process. So even when it's looking bad, I'm like, okay, just trust the process. And then eventually it looks good. Because it's so hard to just like rediscover how to paint every time you paint. So I just learned how to, okay, block in the big shapes, maybe do some anchor points. So use your kind of a mid-range color to put in some of the basic drawing part. Another pass here. All right, how's this portrait looking? What do I think about it? It's looking fine. I would like some color in the lips here. I don't want that to be white. So I'm gonna do this. that white was a little distracting and it's probably not true to the original. And then I'm going to use that kind of desaturated pink to do the whites of the eyes. That's kind of a rookie mistake to make the whites of the eyes actually white. And I missed kind of a, this is actually darker than I made it. So I'm going to do that. So what I'm seeing in the references, now I'm looking at values, and I'm seeing that this is a lot darker in the reference than I have on my painting. But I don't want to overdo that because I don't want a muddy painting. So I'm just going to try my best to kind of do this. Get some darks in that part. And then what I want is some actual contour here. Yeah, like that. Hey, it worked. Okay. I knew that was going to work. No, really. And then this here is going to get dark too. And this too. There we go. That really adds some shape to the face. Okay, I don't want to overdo that, like I said, but I do want this to be darker. So I'm going to do another pass on this. Some dark there. Okay. And I want some darker values here too. So same thing. Get some red and some perylene green. Make kind of a shade. And then try not to overdo it here, but I am actually digging it. Okay. Now I want this to be darker. And this is going to be darker with some texture. There. Make this darker here. Add some pink to the mix. Do another pass here. Okay. So this is going to, I'm going to take a risk. You want to witness the risk that I'm going to take? I started with a base of perylene green in the back, and I want it to be a little more vivid. So I'm going to add some Hooker's green, which is a very intense, vivid green. I'm not going to go crazy, so I'm going to add some perylene to it, but it's going to be a little bit of a more vivid green because I just want this to glow a little bit more. And if it doesn't work, you'll be witnesses to it, and we can talk about why it didn't work. So let's just see. It's certainly more vivid. Here's the problem. I feel like it's clashing a little bit with the suit. Navy and green are not usually, there was an old saying, Blue and green must ne'er be seen without a color in between. But I like how the top part looks, and the suit is a little negotiable for me. So I'm going to make this a little bit lighter and have some texture to it. Okay, that's not that bad actually. But I do think the suit is a little off. So what I could do is change the tone of the suit a little bit. Who says that? The blue and green thing? That's an old-fashioned thing. You're not supposed to put blue and green necessarily together. You know what? I think it looks great. I don't care. I think it looks fine. I actually like it. So I'm not even going to mess with that much. I do think the suit needs to be darker though. Yeah, about blue and green. Yeah, I don't know. Some jerk. You know, just one of those old rules, like no white after Labor Day, where it's just like somebody just likes to make rules for everybody. And so they just made really inane rules that everyone's supposed to follow. And eventually they started to realize, like, oh wait, basically every color looks good with every other color in a certain context. So what's the point of making stupid rules about how it's supposed to be? I mean, pick any two colors and you can make it work. So okay, and then for that helped actually quite a bit. Just doing a passive green over the suit. Because then whatever clash you were having between the blue here, the navy, and the hooker's green, you mixed them together a little bit, and now they're blending a little bit better. So I'm feeling good about that. I'm probably going to want another pass at the hair here at the back, which I'll do in a second. But right now, I'm just going to do a little bit of just kind of a neutral color. And just do a little bit of so neutral you can't even see it. A little something on the shirt. And a little bit down here too. And then a lot down here. And down here. And down here. All right, that's looking good. I like how that's looking. And if you'll allow me, I'm just gonna look at my previous commissions that I've done for this particular commissioner and just make sure the style is pretty consistent among all of them. Because I'm getting here to the end and I want to make them all fairly consistent. So yeah, the backgrounds are fairly bland on purpose. So I'm going to get a little bit more of this green. I'm going to do one more pass so there's some kind of, it's a little more interesting. See that? But I'm nearing the finish line, folks, on this one. Why did I make shapes like that? I don't know. Because it seemed to make sense when I did it. And then get some texture here. I like to leave that corner unblocked in because that's where the light's coming from. So I like to just leave that a little open. Okay, we are nearing the end. I'm looking at the reference. The darkest places in the reference are the glasses. Just slight outlines on the suit. Under here is pretty dark in the reference, but I don't want it to be crazy dark. Nick Runge will do a mixture of Prussian blue and Pyrrole red to kind of approximate black. And I'm going to do kind of a similar thing, but Pyrrole red and Perylene green. So just finish up these glasses so it looks like, black rimmed glasses. Bring it down like that. And maybe do a little under the nose here and here. A little here. And under, hi Mariah, it's glorious. Oh, that's really sweet. Thank you for saying that. I think you caught it. Maybe you've been around this whole time, but at first I was like, man, is this going to work? I just picked a challenging photograph to start from. So I'm glad it actually worked. I'm going to do this. So usually about 9:30 on Sundays for me. Some people have Miller time. I have melatonin time. This is melatonin time for me. Because my sleep gets all messed up. Over the weekend. And so I use melatonin to reset. I know I'm a psychologist, but this is not medical advice. Just so you know, but that's just what I have to do. I want this to be darker here on this part. So I'm just going to add some of that mix. And this whole part can be darker. I'm just so struck by everyone's kindness. I know I keep harping on it, but I'm afraid that people are going to be annoyed by my gratitude. But it's just so nice that people are watching for so long and listening and taking an interest and following my Instagram. People have been really kind on Instagram, and the people that are watching me right now, the great thing about it is I probably haven't met you in real life, but overdid it on that line there, using a huge brush and trying to make a tiny little line. Haven't met me in real life, but I'm really meeting some cool people online who are nice and give me ideas and inspiration and just thoughts. And that's been really great. The pandemic has just sucked the life out of so many things. And, you know, if we had lived through the 1918 pandemic or whatever, we wouldn't have the internet to help us connect with people. We would just kind of be left to our own devices. No pun intended. So this is, again, this is Peril Red, Perylene Green to make kind of a black that isn't too black. Because with watercolor, black just really tends to deaden. Okay, here's a cool thing. He's got like the glasses, and the glasses leave a little shadow under here, so that's what I'm going to make too. And then hey, got 4 viewers. Hi viewers. Always glad to see people showing up. Say the latecomers, I wonder if they're just like, oh, I just want to see the finished product, which is fine by me, because I'm almost done with this. In fact, here's my method. Actually, I'm going to do a little of this here. Okay, my method is stand up and step back, because I'm so face to face with this painting this whole time, and I need a second perspective. So I'm just gonna stand up here and look at it. I'm digging it. Once again, I'm gonna put this portrait next to it just to see. Yeah, I'm almost done. I want to get a really warm dark here. This is like an olive color. That might not be exactly right, but I need to darken this part right there. There we go. I'm gonna add some darks here. Add some darks here. Okay. Fill that in there. This shadow is interesting here. Okay. He's got a shadow here, which is, I think, glasses. And I would like to add a little more pink, a little more life to that upper lip. So I'm mixing it now, but I don't want to, again, I don't want to overdo it. You know, with the style that I do, if you overdo it, things start to look cartoonish. Not what I'm looking to do at all. But this upper lip does need to be darker. because that really adds form to the lips. And let's get a little bit of this shape. And some dark here. Now I'm just kind of, this is the time to be a little nitpicky, but don't go crazy. So you just kind of look. You see all the places that you might have missed. All right, guys, I think we're basically there. I might have little things I want to do here and there with this portrait, but it's more often than not I ruin a good portrait trying to fix some little tiny thing. The last thing I want to do, I'm going to get some just dark color and shade in that neck, because you see here this neck is really light along the edge, but in the reference photo this whole area is dark. So I'm just gonna make sure it's just clear that this is in shadow. And that's going to extend down there as well. There we go. And you know what? I'm going to call it good. Thank you so much for watching and following. Just very kind of everyone. I'm most active on Instagram, so feel free to follow me on Instagram. But I think at 1 hour and 36 minutes, I think we've got a good portrait. So finally I'm gonna finish it up with my usual signature Art 21. All right, looks good, folks. Good to see everybody. Thanks Max, thanks Mariah, and everyone else who was watching, and I hope you have a good night, sleep well, and a good work week too. Take care.